Guys, don't lean over, okay? Let's go. Thank you. Thank you.
Caitlin Clark just turned a post-game moment into something unforgettable after the Fever's win over the Liberty, 109-91 in Brooklyn. Once the final buzzer sounded, she didn't just celebrate and walk off. She made her way to the stands, took off her game-worn shoes, signed them, and handed them directly to a young fan wearing a Fever hat. It was a simple gesture, but it carried real meaning. A moment of pure appreciation between a star and someone who looks up to her. And of course, instead of just letting it be that, some critics are still trying to twist it into something negative, because for certain people it's hard to accept when an athlete is genuinely kind and connected to their fans. At the end of the day, when a player finishes a game in front of thousands, walks over to the crowd, gives away something as personal as their shoes, and creates a memory that kid will never forget, yet still faces criticism for it, it really says more about the critics than it does about her. Some people just can't handle authenticity, especially when it comes with success.
Stacking days, stacking days, stacking days, stacking days.
Felt so good to be back. Oh my god.
Yes!
First dub of the season!
I was gonna do it, but I'm not gonna. Fever dub.
Chat preseason dubs.
Dubs.
Let's break down what happened after the Indiana Fever's dominant 109-91 win over the New York Liberty in Brooklyn, because moments like this are exactly why Caitlin Clark continues to stand out, not just as a player, but as a person. As she was leaving the floor at Barclays Center, Caitlin noticed a group of young Fever fans in the stands. Kids dressed in team gear, clearly there just to see her play and soak in the experience. And instead of simply heading to the locker room like most pros would, she stopped. She walked over, she got closer to them. She took off her game-worn shoes, signed them, and personally handed them to a young boy wearing a Fever hat. It wasn't about attention. It wasn't about headlines. It was just a genuine moment of connection between a star athlete and the fans who look up to her.
Guys, don't lean over, okay? Let's go. Thank you. Thank you.
The Indiana Fever shared a clip on their official page with the caption, "CC gives her shoes away to one lucky fan after our preseason win against New York." And almost instantly, the moment took off online. Fans flooded the comments, praising Caitlin Clark for creating something that goes far beyond basketball, a memory that a young supporter will carry for life. Just imagine being that kid. You show up hoping to see your favorite player. The game ends, and at best you expect a wave, maybe a quick high five. But instead, Caitlin walks over, removes her game-worn shoes, signs them, and personally hands them to you. That's not just a souvenir, that's a lifelong memory. The kind of story that gets told over and over. I was there when Caitlin Clark gave me her shoes. Those shoes likely end up in a display case, carefully protected, maybe even passed down someday. That's how powerful a simple gesture can be. Fans immediately picked up on it too. One comment highlighted how this fits her personality, noting that Caitlin has always made time for fans, especially during college at Iowa, where she regularly engaged with crowds and gave away gear. That context matters because last season in the WNBA was far from normal for her. She played just 13 games due to injuries, spending long stretches listed as day-to-day without actually returning to the floor. It was a frustrating year for everyone involved, but one unexpected side effect was that she had more opportunities to connect with fans. Even when she wasn't playing, she would still show up, sign autographs, and spend time around arenas. She made those moments count because she had the time to do so. This season is different. If she stays healthy and plays a full schedule, those extended fan interactions won't come as often. Between games, recovery, and preparation, her focus will naturally shift back to competition. That's why moments like this feel even more meaningful. They'll be harder to come by. Reporter Killen Mills summed it up well, pointing out that Caitlin has always been this way. From Iowa to the WNBA, whether healthy or sidelined, she has consistently made time for fans, signing autographs and connecting with people wherever she goes. And that's the pattern. It's not new, it's not staged, it's not a one-time gesture for attention, it's who she has always been. At Iowa, it was the same story, giving away shoes, staying after games for hours, taking photos, signing everything in sight. She she understood something simple. These moments matter. A short interaction or a signed item can mean the world to a young fan. One fan put it perfectly. New season, same CC energy. She missed her fans. And that might be the truth. After missing so much of last year, she probably did miss that connection. The crowd, the energy, and the chance to play in front of people who came just to see her. So when she handed those shoes over after her first preseason game back, it wasn't just a highlight for the fans, it was probably meaningful for her too. Another comment summed it up simply: great on and off the court, just stay healthy. Because at the end of the day, greatness isn't only about what happens during the game, it's about how you treat people when the final buzzer sounds. And of course, with moments like this gaining attention, the criticism always follows. Some people tried to dismiss it as a PR move, suggesting it only happened because cameras were rolling. But that argument falls apart pretty quickly. First, even if it was filmed, it doesn't change what it meant to the kid who received those shoes. That memory is real regardless of who recorded it. And second, this is not new behavior from Caitlin Clark. She was doing this long before the spotlight in the WNBA back at Iowa. Away from cameras and media buzz, giving away gear and signing autographs for fans without hesitation. This isn't a manufactured moment. It's a consistent pattern, and that's exactly why it stands out. It also means more people get to see it, talk about it, and be inspired by it. Of course, some critics tried to spin it another way. The "she can afford it, she makes millions" argument came up again, but that completely misses the point. Yes, Caitlin Clark can afford to give away a pair of shoes. The real issue is that most players who can do things like that don't. They walk past fans, they keep distance, they treat interaction like something to avoid instead of something to appreciate. What makes Caitlin different is not that she can do it, it's that she chooses to do it, even when she doesn't have to. Some people also tried to compare her to other WNBA players who do similar things without the same spotlight. But there's an important distinction here. Caitlin doesn't do this once in a while. She does it constantly. This isn't a random moment. It's a long-standing pattern. And the reason it gets so much attention is simple. She's one of the biggest stars in the sport. People are naturally going to notice everything she does. That's not on her. That's just how visibility works. And here's what the critics still don't understand. Moments like this are a big part of why she's so popular in the first place. It's not just the logo threes or flashy passes, it's the connection, the way she engages, the way she shows appreciation for the people who show up for her. Fans can always tell when something is real and when it's just for show. They know when an athlete is just going through the motions and when they genuinely care. Caitlin clearly does. She always has. And that authenticity is a huge part of her appeal. A report from The Spun noted that 2025 was a tough year for her after injuries limited her to just a handful of games. The Fever still made the playoffs but fell to the eventual champions, the Las Vegas Aces. Now, heading into 2026 fully healthy, expectations are massive once again, but even in the middle of all that pressure, moments like this remind people there's more to the game than wins and losses. There's connection, inspiration, and impact. Think about that young fan who received those shoes. That's probably a kid who plays basketball, who looks up to Caitlin Clark, who goes out and practices because of her. And now he has something real, something personal that connects him directly to his hero. That kind of moment doesn't just excite a kid, it can fuel his entire love for the game. And now multiply that across every fan Caitlin has interacted with over the years. Every autograph, every photo, every giveaway. That's thousands of moments where kids felt seen, valued, and inspired. That's a legacy that goes far beyond points and assists. It also speaks to how aware Caitlin is of her platform. She understands that young fans are watching everything she does. They're learning from it, so she chooses to show gratitude, humility, and accessibility in return. In today's professional sports world, that's becoming rare. Many athletes are surrounded by layers of protection, agents, PR teams, security, told to stay careful, stay guarded, and limit exposure. Most are trained to avoid spontaneous moments like this. Caitlin isn't. She leans into real interaction. She takes those moments when they come, without overthinking how they'll look or how they might be judged later. After beating the Liberty in Brooklyn, she simply saw some young Fever fans and decided to make their night. That's the difference between someone who views fans as numbers and someone who views them as people. Caitlin clearly falls into the second category. She understands that everything in her career, the arenas, the TV deals, the endorsements, exists because people care enough to watch. And she shows appreciation for that in real, tangible ways. The Fever's video shows it perfectly. Caitlyn sitting courtside after the game, calmly signing her shoes while talking to the kids, then handing them over with a smile. The reaction says it all. The kid is completely overwhelmed in the best way possible. That moment didn't happen by accident. It happened because she chose to be present and generous, and fans who followed her at Iowa will recognize it immediately. Back then, she was known for staying long after games, signing autographs until security had to step in, giving away gear, and making time for anyone who wanted a moment. That hasn't changed. Even as a pro with more pressure, more attention, and more responsibility, she's still the same person who values those interactions. On the court that night, she finished with 7 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists. Just a preseason tune-up after missing much of last year. The numbers weren't the story. Getting healthy, finding rhythm, building chemistry, that was the point. But even in a game meant for preparation, she still found time to create something unforgettable for a fan. That's what separates highlight players from lasting legacies. It's not just what happens in the box score, it's the small moments that stay with people long after the game ends.